behalf of the Imperial Flight Operations Bureau. Dyson City Parisa wishes to advise visitors from Hutton Orbital Alpha Centauri that frivolous docking requests and deliberate trespassing in the access corridor will not be tolerated. Also, if you must bring us more of those sodding mugs, please take them directly to outfitting so we can turn them back into frameshift drives. The Megagin is good though, you can bring us as much of that as you want. Hail the Empress.
Hutton Orbital Radio News. Tune in every Thursday and get the horn.
Election fever has hit Hutton hard. The locals here love any activity where they can choose a side and then have a long and in-depth argument with whoever sat next to them. In the waste management offices, the shift supervisor is dealing with technicians who claim to have caught election fever, with one claiming to have all the symptoms and another pulling down his trousers to prove that even he has a rash. The Brown Party leads in the polls, and many of their supporters wear coloured rosettes as they make their way along the parade. A little yellow lorry borrowed from Barnet Star with a massive loudspeaker fitted to the roof trundles along, proclaiming the virtues of the legalised Onion Head Party. Or it would if they could remember what their policies were. The Sage Party are all dressed in green, stroking their beards, demanding equal rights for vegetables. That is to say, they are politely inquiring if it would be possible to grant equal rights to vegetables, if it's not too much trouble. The Apathy Party of Alpha Centauri haven't turned up, but the Grey Party of Hutton are out in force like a living wet blanket, talking about policy mature in monotone voices and taking 10 minutes to peel Grey Party stickers off a sheet while repeating, No, I think I've got it this time, to save their intended target from wandering away. The local shopkeepers turn up the volume of their vid screens in a bit to drown out the life-sapping noises, but even on the channels which normally show non-stop car chases and sleeping kittens, the election has taken over. The screen goes black, then a familiar logo appears. A comforting voice says, This is a party political broadcast on behalf of Hutton Orbital Radio.
Our mics are live. Welcome to tonight's show. I'm Rudolf Hucker, and as returning officer for the district of Hutton Orbital, I declare this radio show open. God bless her, or even dog bless her, and all who sail in her.
I'm Wilma Fingadoo, and I'll vote for anyone who provides a free Kitty Day card.
If the apology officer was here, they'd be voting brown, because they have gravy stains all down their front. And this way, they can claim it was a political statement rather than a beefy bake gone wrong.
I'm Norma Snockers, and I'm maintaining a professional impartiality. Except if anyone from the Grey Party comes near me, then they'll get a good panning.
And if Sandy Crevice was here, he'd be voting for Screeching Lord Tentacle of the monster-raving Thargoid in Disguise Party.
Right, well, the candidates for Best Headline tonight are... We come in pieces. Commander claims to have spoken to the Thargoids.
There's an election for that. Elections for everything!
Too hot, too messy, hots up in week 95.
Apology officer in unscheduled spacewalk shenanigans.
And the whole expected update from Hutton Space.
First, this evening, our roving reporter team out in the Pleiades have been investigating claims that someone has made contact with the Thargoids. Before we start, we know commanders regularly make contact with them, usually at the heart of a Titan cloud, most definitely with anti-Xeno ammunition, and occasionally due to some rather dodgy piloting while avoiding caustic missiles. But this is a claim of an encounter of an entirely different kind. The popping over for a quick cuppa and a nice chat kind. The sort that starts with waving a white flag, carries on with a bit of take me to your leader, and ends with either A, someone going home in a rubberized bag with a zip on it, or B, photos of handshakes while smiling at the camera. Our reporter's first challenge was, who was this person making the claim? Are they the kind of fantasist that could comfortably be hired by a political party to invent random claims about taxation during a live interview and totally ignore evidence, facts, or the truth? Or are they the sort of trusted source that hangs around with orangutans in the jungle and is classed as a national treasure? It turns out that it's neither. It's a member, or former member, of the ship's crew of the Gnosis. Nebulous Munchhaver, formerly of the Gnosis panel beating and welding team, has been aboard the vessel ever since about a week before the Gnosis incident, right up until a couple of days ago when, welding up a wonky panel on the outside of one of the escape pods, accidentally sat down on the big red external eject button and found themselves yeeted, or possibly yoked, at speed away from the Gnosis, which was in the process of jumping. Hanging on for dear life to the outside of the pod whilst it was hurled unceremoniously through the witch-space tunnel, Nebulous managed to pop open the pod bay door, climb inside and curl up into a little ball with his eyes tightly shut. They were found 2 days later by an expeditionary team on a moon orbiting an ammonia world out in the Pleiades. At first, all they could glean from Munchhaver were the words, "I've seen them!" After a nice cup of green tea and some serious sedatives, and quite a lot of there, finally the gibbering wreck turned into a nervous wreck, and then into a mildly concerned leaky coracle. Nebulous claims to have actually landed on the ammonia world, which is feasible. The pod did show chemical signals of having been near something ammonia-ish. Then they claimed there were faces at the window, which I suppose once again is feasible. Then there was the claim that a Thargoid spoke to them by making gargly noises. Oddly, Munchhaver couldn't describe what it looked like without crying a lot. And finally, he said that a mysterious voice in his head stated that they were Glubnar the Gracious and they were an emissary of the Thargoids here to negotiate peace. Now, why they'd choose the kind of person who would A, serve as a mechanic on the Gnosis, and B, be foolish enough to eject themselves into a witch space tunnel without a towel, caused a number of alarm bells to ring. After a little more investigation, the claimant was asked how they felt after receiving the message. A bit hot and sweaty and cold and clammy. The scientists took note at this point. But that might have been the Gnosis avian cheese fondue I had for lunch. At this point, Canon scientists terminated the interview and took him away in the kind of jacket that has padlocks and hazmat stickers. He did pause for a special compo face photograph for one of the red tops, though.
Elections. While many countries of the 21st century, and a few centuries thereafter, only experience them every few years, Modern galactic politics mean that you can't turn a corner without bumping into one at just about every turn. With tens of thousands of populated systems in the galaxy, each with a good handful of political, economic, and thoroughly piratey parties positively pushing their point across on a daily basis, there's almost no escape from it. Well, we've done lots of trading this week and people seem to like us, so let's have an election. We had one last week and we didn't win, so let's try again this week. That lot smell like week old unwashed rugby socks. Vote for us. Seems to be the order of the day. Good business for pamphleters and the kinds of cheerleaders that fly around systems with a megaphone strapped to the outside of their ship, broadcasting messages to all and sundry about down with that sort of thing and up with us. Or sometimes simply, I'll give you 100 arcs if you vote for us. It's a wild, unregulated system. There are no rules about what the rules are, and what rules there are seem to not be rules, more guidelines. The art of fibbing, gerrymandering, scurrilous claims about the opposition, blatant misrepresentation of the facts, and skullduggery seem to be reaching the kinds of levels normally reached during 21st century elections in the UK. Yes, that included North Britain at the time, before the independence wars of the 22nd century. And of course, the American people who spent a lot of time every few years arguing whether the colour blue or the colour red was their favourite. Take, for example, the G99-49 system. Hutton are in the middle of an election there. Hutton didn't want an election. Hutton didn't submit papers to have a candidate parachuted in. And in fact, Hutton doesn't actually want to be there at all. But the uniting G-99-49 party decided that their interns were getting rusty, so they called one. They down own the system. In fact, it appears that they have no political clout whatsoever. They just want Liar's installation, somewhere Hutton doesn't want either. Cue 4 days of pollsters and swingometers and canvassing, which at the end of it, they can declare a sweeping victory and bring in the moving trucks to Lear, which we've already left. Well, confused by it all? Bored by elections? If like us, you are, there's a quick guide to surviving elections. Number 1, you can't escape them. Like death, taxes, and Thargoid hyperdictions, while traversing the Pleiades, they're inevitable. Best bet is to smile nicely and carry on with whatever you're doing. Number 2, as an aside to 1, unless some rotter is trying to pinch Hutton's stuff, then invite the door knockers in for tea, and then knock them over the head with something heavy, and stuff them in a cupboard until the election's over. Number 3, pamphlets make good toilet paper. After the galactic decree by the Pilots Federation that all political pamphlets should be 3-ply and made of really soft recycled paper, and scented. Number 4, we do not recommend stunts involving random blondes and milkshake. It really interferes with the electronics in your suit. Number 5, we suppose at least it's better than war, which is good for absolutely nothing.
We are now in week 95 of Too Hot Too Messy, where commanders have undertaken the mammoth task of delivering Hutton mugs and Centauri Megagin to every starport, settlement, surface-based outpost and outhouse in the galaxy. And things are picking up. Last week, commanders delivered a very respectable 969 mugs and 820 gin. Looks like they dropped a few bottles. Commander Chicks is still at the top of the delivery table, but Waller 81 is within grabbing distance of that top spot, being just 2,500 mugs behind. That said, 2,500 is quite a lot for one person. Traffic to Hutton is light this week with no congestion on the space lanes. Landing pad availability is rated as give us a hug for the small pads and You could drive a bus through that for the medium pad. Hutton runs this week were both by Thargoid, who has set a new record for SEO Hutton run at 26 minutes and 21 seconds. Who'd have thought back in 3299 that we would be making Hutton runs in under half an hour? Nice work, Commander Thargoid.
In a scene that left many pilots scratching their heads, the apology officer was spotted floating outside the station window last week. Instead of being cosy inside the studio, they were seen waving their arms in the vacuum of space. Reports are conflicting about how exactly they ended up there. Some suggest it was a disgruntled Mr. Dusty taking out the trash, while others believed it might have been the work of Aardvark Lovers Against Nastiness (A.L.A.N) in brackets, protesting the frequent use of aardvarks in puns. The apology officer, ever resourceful, used their knowledge of galactic sign language (GSL) in brackets, to communicate. Among the more colourful hand signals spotted were "You Bampston" and "Fonking Let Me Back In." Pilots passing by reported seeing a particularly enthusiastic display of GSL, making their feelings about the situation abundantly clear. Despite the unexpected spacewalk, the apology officer is safe and sound. Whether it was an elaborate prank or an unfortunate accident, the matter is under investigation. In the meantime, the aardvark puns will continue, much to the dismay of A.L.A.N. Hang on. Has anyone seen the apology officer this week? Wait, what's this note?
As advocates in the prevention of punning against aardvarks, we've taken your apology officer. We demand that you stop. Stop. A, stop. L, stop. A, stop. N, stop.
Don't they mean our aardvarkarts? It's time again for our Thursday night look at the movers and the shakers in Hutton Systems BGS. At the top end of the table, things seem to be settling a bit. LHS 340 down to a slightly less stress-inducing 70% influence. Still higher than we'd like it, but on the mend. The other high rollers are Treppin, PSPF-LF2, Van Manen Star, where the monks live, Wolves 25, 1481, 124, and 562. Bringing up the rears, LP245-10. Visit them by all means, but please don't do anything as we're trying to get their influence under 60%. There's a bit of an infrastructure failure going on in WISE 0855-0714 at the moment. Generally, the best way to sort that out is to ship in machinery and food, but do bear in mind that Yamazaki Landing is an outpost, so maximum ship size is medium. Nothing bigger than a classic Python will fit. Investment in Bernard Star means it's a good option for trading and mission running. Investment is like boom with an extra shot. Speaking of boom states, if you don't fancy risking life, limb, and dignity with the Bernard Star Dockers, you can always head over to one of the systems currently enjoying favourable trade conditions. Those systems are Haghole, Midgut, George Panstis, Epsilon Eridani, Wolf 359, 36 Ophiuchi, and LHS 4003. What does that all mean? Well, it means that trade and mission running are king. If you want to truck it, then truck food and machinery to Yamazaki Landing in Y0855-0714 using nothing bigger than a medium ship. Or bring trade goods or mission run in Bernard Star for maximum profits. Just look out for Finn Guerin's probing hands. Trade or mission run in the Booms systems. If you want to shoot it, then Vulkarius will be along shortly to tell you which Thargoid Titan needs a good punch up the mandibles. And that's it for this week's BGS report.
And that's it That's the news.
We
We're
have
back
a
in the studio.
Vulkarius.
We have a Vulkarius doing it. But you've broken your duck, Vulkarius, on reading news articles now. Brackets. Competently. Brackets. Stop.
In brackets. Yeah.
End bracket. Yes.
Brackets unlike Flossy.
Amelia, how many seams did I impose upon the show this time?
Very few, less than me.
You mean fewer?
Yes.
Oh, I nearly said that. What do you really mean? Brackets, fewer,
Oh.
brackets, stop. Yes.
Okay,
Anyway.
there's me seam.
Yes. Well, look, welcome to the news team. As you may have noticed, obviously, there are only 4 of us in the studio. There's lots of space. Look, I can spread my arms right out and not whack anybody on the head. And Flossy can swing the pan and not, swoosh it over the top of the head of the apology officer. Because we are missing both the apology officer, who we believe A.L.A.N, A.L.A.N, might have kidnapped last week. You may have noticed the apology officer vanished before the aardvark pun last week and was intermittently missing and then apparently ejected outside. So we're hoping that they're perfectly safe. We should have some news on their safety soon. And no, we don't give in to kidnappers, and we don't pay out bribes. So if they want money, we're not handing it over. No. But anyway, we've got Amelia here. Hello, Amelia.
Hello.
I think we did hear a mooncake in the background at one point there.
Yes, she's running over my keyboard trying to get my attention, and
She's trying to
I'm
type
not sure.
something important.
I'm not sure. She covered up the script, the non-existent script, several times during my talking.
No, Vulkarius
she's being
did
a
that
little
all
bit
off
of a
the
pain tonight.
Yes. Well, Mooncake. We'll let Mooncake off with a lot of things by looking adorable. We have got pictures of Mooncake later, as usual. We've also got Flossy. We were dead worried, Flossy.
Oh, sorry
Because 10
about
minutes
that.
before the show, we didn't have a Flossy. And then we were looking down at Flossy's bit and the sing-along, thinking, there's an awful lot of words after the bit that says play the Flossy sing-along. What does that mean? Does that mean there might be some CGs this week? Maybe.
There might be.
We'll have to tune in later to find out. But you had to. The reason you had to pop out for some emergency supplies just before the show.
Yes.
Are you sharing?
Am I sharing? Yeah.
Are they tasty?
Oh, very tasty. You get these surprise bags of food that's nearly out of date for a bargain price. And we had a couple to pick up, but you have to collect them at certain times. So
That's all right. Well, it saves waste.
Oh, it does.
Can't be throwing away valuable supplies. That's
No.
very good for the planet.
Yeah, really nice things as well, which you wouldn't normally have bought. So,
I mean, the smashed avocado, smoked salmon, and caviar was a real lucky turn up. This week.
Oh yeah. Oh, nice.
Yeah. Definitely. So I look forward to the little canapes at the after show party.
Yeah.
Anyway, and we've got Vulkarius with us with maybe some Thargoidy kind of news in a bit, possibly.
Oh yes, yeah. Well, definitely. I mean, I write it every week, so.
I did. I did. You've got last week's video in, unless I missed something in the inbox. So there's Thargoids going boom on screen, but I can always adjust that if I've missed anything obvious. But the imagery this week is brought to you by the Type 8 again. We loved it so much we put it back on screen while we're bantering. So Frontier live stream. There was definitely one, wasn't there? Maybe, possibly.
No.
Well, you know how you've just said that there's a Type 8 on screen?
Yes.
That was from the live stream, which was the week before. Where
Yeah, but I was just hoping maybe we get double bubble. Maybe they'd go for Type 11, especially
We
for
never
the
get
apologies.
double bubble.
they could do a Type 11.
A Type 11, which is a bit like a Type 10, but even bigger. No, or maybe a Type 2.
Oh, or the Type 11. No, wait, there's no Type 5, is there?
It's a Type 6.
You're almost up to, like, if it was a Type 12, that's almost like 2 Type 6s.
I suppose you could bolt them
You
together.
could just strap 2 together.
Put a keel back on the back just for good measure. I
it would still be smaller than a Type 9.
I did notice that the ever-present Paul Crowther did put up a message about Thargoid war changes. Are you covering this later? Yep. Suffice to say that they did pop their head over a parapet and say that there was a server-side change, but we're going to go through the alterations during your bit, so I don't step on your toes there. I'm looking at it and it's confused me, so I'm hoping you can deconfuse me.
I've taken the changes and I've spread them out over the more usual description of the different things you can do. And removed anything that's not particularly relevant. So,
well, I don't know whether you do cover. Do you cover both notes, including the second one yesterday at 2:17 p.m., which boded, which wasn't about the detail. It was a foreboding kind of one. If you're not covering that one, then I can mention it briefly now. The comment came whilst the Thargoids could always change their strategy in the future. I don't think we've seen the last of their invasions. That comment.
Yeah. Well, I know why that's so. Yeah, that was something I left out. I know kind of why that's there. There aren't any invasions this week, which...
it's about invasions. We're not talking about new Stargoids coming, big glowing balls and new Titans.
Oh, well, I suppose that's part of the mystique. That'll be
the ambiguity.
In that that's the thing, because we've got the notion of like the general kind of high-level galaxy-wide notion of an invasion occurring, and we also have a specific thing called an invasion system, which has...
It's a big eye invasion and a little eye invasion, maybe.
Yeah.
But you talk about the little eye invasions in your bit, not the big eye invasions.
Other way around. So if there were any big eye... So a big eye invasion would be a specific system to me. That's probably the opposite way around to what you...
Oh, right, so a little eye invasion being like a whole new mega Thargoid type
that would be general. The Thargoids are invading the bubble.
Okay, let's say all in capitals then for that one. It's an invasion!
What I left out of the briefing this week was that there aren't any official invasion systems.
Well, We'll jump to that bit because it's detail and people need to have their pens and paper out because they'll be in your briefing room for that bit.
What, for me to tell them what's not present this week?
Yes, absolutely. We can cover what's not present this week. We don't have space legs.
Okay,
we do have space legs. We don't have shipboarding and scavenging and walking around your cockpit this week either. Just for those wondering if we have that kind of news, we don't have that either. So anything else happening? I mean, I just a quick glance around the forums. I don't think there was much else happening apart from all of your bit and obviously all of Flossy's bit. But there was nothing that's not Thargoids and not CGs in the news. No more images of Type 8s, that kind of thing. But there was lots of space news, spaceship news about space news, as in from this year, not that year, or whichever way around we're doing it. I think I've programmed a few of them up in order. Has everybody done their homework?
Speaking of space news, I mean, this isn't relevant for a few years yet, but I found out today that in 2029 we're going to have an asteroid that passes so close to Earth that it'll be closer than satellites.
Cool.
I think it's like April 13th, 2029.
It's not a Friday, is it?
Yeah, it is actually.
Derek's birthday as well.
But I was watching Neil deGrasse Tyson talking about it. So it's not like it's just some random crap that I've picked up off the net.
Yeah, so I mean, he's when we were talking earlier about reliable and unreliable sources, he's in the same category as hanging around in a jungle with orangutans and classed as a national treasure, not the other kind.
Yes.
That gets milkshakes thrown on them by random blondes while in Clacton upon Sea kind.
I literally found out about it about an hour ago. That was surprising. I'm going to have to find out more about it.
Well, we'll tell you what, we might mention it during the space news. Well, let's push the magic button. And Vulkarius, you can see, because you can see the scripty bit, you can actually see some of these articles this time rather than being thrown in completely at the deep end. But let's do space news.
When you don't know where to get more space space news, space news, space news, space news, space news, space news, space news.
We've had a complaint. We've had a strongly worded letter from A.L.A.N. that we're featuring pictures of aardvarks in spacesuits. Apparently their noses don't fit. We're going to ignore them. We're definitely going to ignore them. Right.
A.L.A.N.
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 Aardvark. Oh dear, I can't remember what the initialism is, or the acronym in this case. Right. Well, at least it's not Steve. Right, the first one this evening. Boeing launches long-delayed astronaut capsule. Oh, sorry, Boeing.
Is that the... I mean, before that we got spaceship goes up, the one that looks like a giant wang.
Yes, that's the Boeing one, yes. Well, I couldn't find any other way of describing it, so just in case you didn't... There are two. There's one with sort of a paper dart on the top, and which isn't going up anytime soon. And there's one with little winglets, and there's the one that looks like a Ladytron 3000 or something, just really big. Anyway, that one, the Boeing one, went up with people on it. I understand. And it was the Boeing Starliner's first crewed mission. Vulkarius, do you have any info on this one at all, or?
No.
I'm just here. We go. I'm putting a video up. There we go. Do you see what I mean about it? Whoa! That shocked me. It went boom.
That does look kind of like a giant wang.
Yes. Yes. Maybe from that angle.
This definitely looks like a giant wang.
I mean, that's straight out of Austin Powers. And look, there's some spacemen with their space masks on. No.
I wonder if it
Those
vibrates.
are security. The thing is, do you think they've got giant nappies under there, which is why they're waddling quite like that?
Are they? Are they installing the batteries and configuring the speed?
No, they're.
It's very important you do that, you know.
They're configuring a couple of blue meeples inside the giant space wang, and then they're setting fire to the space wang so it goes up. There we go. So yes, Boeing, they launched their first crewed mission. Have they reached? I think it takes 24 hours to actually reach the ISS. Do we know whether they've actually reached yet their destination, or when they're due to?
I don't know.
I think they said it takes about 24 hours after launch.
If you scroll around, does the article have a date on it?
Yeah. Well, it went up on the 5th of June, yesterday. Today is the 6th.
Possibly not. It could be still on the way.
It could still be on the way. Let's have a look. There's the people. Oh my goodness, they look like they're about to fight somebody. With a name like Butch, and he's pulling Butch faces. I assume, yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, that left one's like, that's enough out of you.
That's school teacher. One. Yeah, actually, it's a PE teacher on the right and your maths teacher on the left. This is from school.
Naughty, get out of it.
That's close. I had a maths teacher that would walk in smelling of cigarettes and alcohol, so pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, right. And not sorted for ease and whiz. Going back to some of the album and track titles from our youth. Let's have a look. No, there's no other comment on the timetable there. I'm just looking. It's expected to dock with the orbiting lab today around 12:15 p.m. EDT, 16:15 GMT. Okay. Well, we're now at 21:08. Are they late? No, it has safely docked. Here we go. Yes, no, I've just got breaking news here. It has safely docked with the ISS. There we go. After navigating new issues that cropped up overnight.
Does it list the new issues?
Well, do you want me to put that up on screen? Oh dear, helium leaks. Well, that's not cool.
That's not good.
Well, it probably is very cool given the... Anyway, let's see. Oops, crikey, it's... no, go away cookies. Advertisements...
well, where is the helium leaking into? Because, I mean, if it's leaking into the cabin, that could be hilarious.
Here we go. Docking occurred at 1:34 p.m. ET. That's extraterrestrial. Steps were taken to more firmly secure the connection between Starliner and the space station's port. And gaffer tape and cable ties, and docking was completed about 20 minutes later. Nice to be attached to the big city in the sky, Wilmore said. Pressure was equalised between Starliner and the station, and the hatch between the two was opened. There you go. There's advert. Oh, I just hate adverts. There we go. There's them arriving. They brought tea, which is why everybody's so happy.
Wow, that hair.
Yeah, they're going to spend 8 days on the orbiting laboratory. The Boeing Starliner mission did experience helium leaks and a temporary loss of thrusters during its journey. That must have been a squeaky bum moment. And during the final hour of their approach to the space station, Starliner's crew began to manually pilot the spacecraft in a planned test, but 5 of the reaction control system thrusters failed on the service module, but they got 4 of them firing again after some faffing about with gaffer tape and cable ties. So yeah, it didn't go entirely smoothly, but apparently there are 28 thrusters on the service module, and only a handful of them went wrong. So yeah, and it's the bit that doesn't come back to Earth, so they're not too worried about it. So there we go. During the testing of the thrusters, it maintained a distance of 820 feet from the space station until it was deemed orbit safe, as in not going to crash. That's quite important in space manoeuvres, is not to crash into the ISS.
I would have thought so.
That'd be a bit of a cock-up. That'd be a seam. A pretty serious seam. Okay, so that was the first one of our launches. So that one went all right. And then we have the second one.
Which one was the second one?
This was the one that actually looks straight out of Flash Gordon.
Oh, SpaceX.
SpaceX's Starship. Here we
Has
go.
it blown up yet?
No. Look, here's pictures of it going off. It blasted off. It shook things a lot. And it went up. And I think the previous one sort of went up and then went flop and boom, and they had to blow it up. So I think the plan was on this one to launch it, separate it, and bring both bits down and plop them into the ocean. To see whether they could do that, so they destroy it with water instead of with explosives up in the sky. Vulkarius, did you watch this one at all, or catch any of the news about it?
I don't watch anything.
You don't watch
anything. News or anything like that.
So it did go up over the Gulf of Mexico. Then the booster did a hovering thing, and they actually the booster stage to pretend land it, they sort of sent it back down to the Gulf of Mexico and hovered above the water a bit before going plop. Lots of people cheering. And then the top section went up, and then it did the flippy thing, and then it did a re-entry to plunge to Earth. And there's actually footage on screen here of the hot plasma actually started ripping it apart. It survived, but it started ripping it apart as it came down. And it then hovered above the water for a bit. But there's actually some really cool footage there of it. The plasma getting so hot it ripped one of the fins to bits and started melting it and things. So it came down with bits falling off it, which was...
Why am I not surprised?
Yeah, I mean, but it did get down despite that.
At least it didn't blow up this time.
Yeah, it apparently it experienced extreme temperatures. A colourful plasma, superheated ionized gas was seen to envelop the vehicle as it dived deeper into the atmosphere.
If you're going to attempt any kind of re-entry into the atmosphere, it's going to experience extreme temperatures.
Well, yes, but this was part of the test, so they wanted to get it up high enough that they could... There's people looking up at the sky with their phones. Don't know why, when they've got perfectly good eyes. But, yeah, I think the purpose of this test is to see, is it going to fall to bits if we put people in it? And the answer is, at the moment, yes, it would. So let's not do that yet. Then there's an article here I know nothing about. Planetary lineup 3 June. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
That's
3rd of June.
Oh, yeah, Flossy? You know this one.
Yeah. In the early morning hours of June the 3rd, 6 planets, including Jupiter, Mercury, Uranus, Mars, Neptune, and
stargazers and
Saturn.
astronomy enthusiasts are brimming with excitement for Sunday's rare...
Make him stop. No, there you go. He's stopped now.
So
Sorry,
momentarily, the planets, 6 planets, Jupiter, Mercury, Uranus, Mars, Neptune, and Saturn, will momentarily align on the elliptic path. However, experts say they will not be visible from Earth with the naked eye, but they'll be all in a line, all the 6 planets, which doesn't happen very often.
Which happened 3 days ago. So even if you have had a telescope.
when I put it in, it was due to happen in a few days.
Yeah, and look, here's a picture of some sort of snooker balls in space lined up really close together. Please note, despite the fact they look like this in this picture, and when you look at your galactic maps, the planets look like this, they're not actually that close together, and I think the sizes are a bit wrong. I mean,
the sizes are definitely wrong.
Well,
the sun is not that small. Mars is... Earth is a lot smaller.
I think we could fit in the red spot, but I mean, I don't know what's going on there, but yes, it's confusing.
We would, compared to that size sun, we would be a dot, if that.
Well, anyway, I just thought I'd put it in because I thought.
No, it's really interesting because I mean, a lot of people went outside expecting to see this alignment of planets in the sky, but you can't see them all with the naked eye.
Well, no. Or even with binoculars. I mean, you can. No. I've managed to, with my little telescope up on the balcony, see the rings of Saturn before, and that's about as far as I've managed to get. And I've not managed to spot it. Though I think I managed to see a moon at one point as well, as a tiny little dot. But that's about as far as I've managed to see. And there's a picture here. A new telescope shows what looks like a giant hand reaching across the Milky Way 1,300 light years away from Earth. That's the big hand of Vulkarius reaching out to slap the Thargoids. From what we understand. Yeah. Or maybe that's the big hand that yeeted and generally catapulted Vulkarius's imperial-looking ship through space last week. No comment from Vulkarius or Hail the Empress. Yep, so that was that one, and then we're back to the jolly old auntie, the JWST. We have news from the JWST, I think, and it's on screen now. There we go. JD's-GS-Z14-0. Cool name. But this is the earliest and most distant galaxy ever observed. This was from... Didn't we cover this one in the previous week? Here we go.
Galaxy.
Pardon?
That's a whole galaxy.
That's a whole galaxy, yes. It's a mere... it was spied as it was a mere 290 million years after the Big Bang. So just a couple of seconds after. But it's 13.8 billion years old, the universe. So we're observing something from the galaxy when the cosmos was only 2% of its current age. There we go. And it used a really big mirror and sensitive infrared instruments to look at a blob in space.
It's a very pretty blob.
Yes.
But I still think the James Webb should be trying to find us a planet the next. I know I don't look at much news, but the next big bit of news I really want to see is actually us going out to land on a planet somehow,
or sending a probe.
Well, we've already done that technically.
Yeah, but to not drop. I mean, we haven't walked on Mars, at least not to my knowledge.
Well, I'm sincerely hoping during our lifetimes we get to see that one, because that'd be cool.
It might happen within our lifetimes.
I want to see a generation ship. I want to see a colony go out. That's
that's not going to happen in our lifetime.
Grumble.
Yeah, grumble.
Sorry.
Grumble, yes. Can we just freeze Vulkarius' head like they do in Futurama or something? Put him in a jar for a bit.
If I do a fry and walk into the freeze and come out 1,000 years later.
Welcome to the world of tomorrow. Yes, that. Because
I mean, it takes something like 18 months to get to Mars each way, and I mean, sending astronauts to Mars might be a possibility within our lifetime, but colony ships, probably not.
No, I mean, there was that news the other day about the guy who was really excited that he's found the signs of life on an exoplanet somewhere, and they're trying to... I mean, that's going to be the next exciting news for me, is when they actually say, yeah, dude, you're right, and there's definite signs there. And at that point, there'll be an acceleration of, well, we better send a probe there, even if it takes 100 years to get there, kind of... Is that going to be that kind of thing? Or maybe a Tesla?
That's what I'd like to see, though. So, if I ran the JWST, if I had absolute control over all of its missions, I would toss out looking at nebulae, I'd toss out looking at galaxies, I'd just be looking at exoplanets. For that specific purpose, yeah.
We don't really spend much money on the world. I'm speaking when I say we, I mean the world, humanity. We don't spend that much on space exploration anymore. We spent most of the money on space exploration during the space race in the 60s.
Yeah,
it was on a par with military budgets, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I would hazard gone, sorry.
They just don't do it anymore. You know, a lot of what's happening now is privately funded. Like SpaceX.
Whereas I'd hazard a guess on most maybe not most, but many commanders, insofar as enjoying something like Elite, probably would want to see a something like a generation ship go out.
It'd be cool, but the what they're saying is at the moment the global space budget is $117 billion US, or bald eagles per square inch, whatever that is. So the global expenditure on space programs is $117 billion.
Yeah,
which is
when you think about it, that's not that much. Not really.
I was going to say, like, how much
global GDP figures?
How much goes into arming? How much goes into arming the Middle East? You know,
117 billion. So that is slightly more than the GDP of Slovakia. So the spend on space, there are 60 countries with a higher GDP than the world spends on space. There you go. So it's just below Ethiopia and just above Slovakia.
Yeah, I think we can do better than that for space. It deserves a lot better than that.
Of which 70...
I agree, it does deserve a lot better.
70 billion of that, 73 billion is the US. But yes...
I mean, the big problem, going to get all bloody philosophical and political here, but we have to look inwards before we look outwards. We have to fix ourselves before we consider colonizing other worlds.
You want to see some of the pictures from the Galnet Rares Digest later, you maybe don't want to be looking inwards. It might scare you, especially after what you've been eating. Yes. The last article here is about Tatooine tech coming to Earth. There's three very happy-looking men on screen, who the founders of Uravu. Isn't that something from a TV show? Iranu and Uvavu. No, anyway.
Have they solved moisture farming?
Yes, they had access to a limited amount of water each day. They were rationed 2 buckets of water a day, which they collected from water tanks. So they looked about air-to-water devices. And they convert
exactly what they had. They call them moisture farms in Star Wars, yeah.
Moisture evaporators, the primary language of moisture evaporators, wasn't it? They were talking about in Star Wars. So they do stuff with sunlight and renewable energy and then condense the moisture in the air into drinking water, and it takes about 12 hours. But each of their units produces 2,000 litres of drinking water. Now that's quite impressive.
Wow.
That's definitely targeting drought. I mean, 2,000 litres of water, globally that's not a big number, but one device producing that much a day is...
it can make a difference.
Yeah.
Like you've got. Imagine if 2,000 people had one of those devices, they'd be able to get a litre of water a day.
Yes, but they're talking about parts of the world people have to sort of walk miles to go and get drinking water, which is probably full of germs and bugs and death and nastiness. It's quite cool. Well done, those guys. That's definitely yeah. And actually,
that's like. I wonder whether we can get an exoplanet which has the atmosphere that can where that works.
See, that'd be cool. But they're saying that the system actually only costs $60,000, and if it runs for a bit, and it runs off sunlight, renewables and things, that's actually really economical as well for producing clean drinking water. 95% reduction in fresh water consumption. Well done, those chaps. Who are they again? Let's have a look. It's Govinda, Swapnil, and Venkatesh. Well done, guys. That's cool technology. That's useful stuff.
Useful is good.
Yeah, is that it for the space news then? I think it's the only other one was about the other spaceship that's going to be going up, the one that actually looks like a space plane. I think they've moved it for some testing, but that's not due to go up anytime soon. I think they're looking at September-ish for the one that's the successor to the space shuttle that looks like a plane, the flyable one. I don't think we're going to have news on that one until September. Probably. Do we have any other space news? I'm just looking to see if the chat channel is talking space news. No, they're talking about global defense budgets,
which was part of the space news. You did ask the question.
Yeah, and countries sending up satellites to smash satellites and things at the moment, which is very naughty. Don't do it.
Yes. Like I said, we have to fix ourselves before we go colonizing other worlds.
Oh, I am so broken. Right. Well, that was the space news. Vulkarius, are you ready for your bit? Well, we haven't got a theme tune for you yet. But if I close out the space news with this.
When you don't know where to get more space news, space news, space news, space
with
news,
apologies
space news,
to A.L.A.N.
space news, space news.
As we switch over to a live view of Vulkarius in the Vulkarius briefing room.
That's an aardvark. Oh, there we go. I was going to say, hopefully, if the aardvark lovers against nastiness are protesting, well, they kind of need to step aside because the war front continues. At Indra this week, thanks to the overhaul last week, it now has 41 counter-strike systems. Counter-strikes are the ones which get boosted when you rescue people off the Titan. So if you want to help 41 systems all at once, build a Titan rescue ship with a subsurface extraction missile and fly on over to HIP 20567. The Titan's a few K out, so Supercruise Overcharge will be welcome. And remember, you want the extraction missile, not the displacement missile. The worst that will happen with extraction missiles is that sides will target you. Whereas if you fly off with the only Hutton displacement missile, then Amelia will target you. So choose wisely, extract some biostorage capsules, and get them over to a rescue megaship. And we have another round of changes starting today. Alerts in populated systems are now much weaker. That doesn't change strategy as such, but obviously destroying an Orpheus there will now move it faster by percentage. Inhabited alerts are the same, but definitely continue running missions there. They've been very, very, very effective. If you can stack up 20 small evacuation missions, then you're basically doing the best possible action. It's the mission completions that really help. The time pressure to stop alerts is also much more relaxed now. We still need them gone this week, but now alerts no longer block Spire sites at all. So there's no particular rush to knock them out early. Combat kills have also been increased again. So if you're up for joining Commander Flossy in the conflict zones, check the Thargoid War information on the galaxy map and hit whichever control systems are near the top. Spire sites are also still needed. The nearest to us, that is here it is, Sector DX-H, A.L.A.N-1. Any are fine, and remember that you'll need Odyssey to reach them. Here it is, Sector DX-H, A.L.A.N-1 was actually reinstated as a spire site last week, after Tharg the Mighty finally noticed that his or her or its forces had actually got back there a few months ago. Only just remembered that he or she or it had an old spire kicking around and finally got around to starting it back up again. There aren't any invasion systems this week, as alluded earlier. As much as commanders love dropping shard anacondas onto attacked planetary ports, unfortunately this is basically inevitable though. When we're hitting a maelstrom hard enough, what happens is that killing the controls harms their ability to place alerts. So we end up killing all the alerts as well, which means they don't get to invade anything, like anywhere, across the whole galaxy. So get to Indra, do Titan rescues, stop alerts, do conflict zones, and attack spire sites. And that's it.
Thank you very much, Vulkarius. Right, Amelia.
Yes.
For obvious reasons, I've got the big black marker pen out, and I put big black marker pen through this next bit.
Okay, yes.
So we just check Flossy's ready.
Mia's not here.
Yeah, Mia's not here, and it's just not right.
It's not right.
And we don't want to antagonise the Aardvarks or A.L.A.N or A.L.A.N or whatever they are.
Sorry.
Okay, was that them ringing the doorbell to complain again?
No, that is a little alarm that goes off at 9:30 p.m. every night for reasons. For reasons? Not my reasons. Sandrine's reasons.
Latest episode of insert TV program here, I suspect. So Flossie.
Yes.
We've got the Flossie sing-along. If you're ready, Amelia, would you like to introduce the return of the Space Cowgirl?
Yes. So welcome back, Space Cowgirl. Do you have the CG news for us?
Yes, I do.
Excellent. Well, I'll push the button then. Here we go.
When the universe is in trouble, bug infestations in the bubble. Your home station's burned rubble. What on earth can we do when your faction leader's a dog and your daily tasks are a slog? You're feeling like a used cog. What on earth can we do now? Interstellar initiatives. Let Flossie tell you what it is. Then you can get involved with this. You should listen to what Flossie says. Interstellar initiatives. Flossie tells us what she thinks it is. Then you can get involved with this. Now you should listen to what Flossie says. Listen to what Flossie says. What on earth can we do? Do what Flossie tells you to. What if she talks nonsense? Interstellar initiatives. Let Flossie tell you what it is. Then you can get involved with this. You should listen to what Flossie says. Now we heard what Flossie said. We can put this matter to bed. Just keep her voice in your head. Flossie told you what to do.
Hello, Flossy here with this week's CG news. Guess what? No CGs. Oh wait, no. Not one, but two new CGs. Provide aid to and repel pirates from the Kamina station. Jerome Archer requests assistance delivering supplies to the Kamina station to prevent future pirate attacks. In an emergency conference held this morning, Archer had this to say. It pains me to see the Kamina be the target of attacks by criminals looking to take advantage of the Federation's continued efforts to end the war as quickly as possible, so I'm calling on pilots across the galaxy for aid. I urge you to hunt down the aggressors and supply the Earth Defense Fleet stationed in the Kamina with the medicines and equipment to prevent further attacks. Only by doing both will the station be safe again. As a further incentive, the following rewards will be granted to pilots who meet the below criteria for delivering reactive armour, non-lethal weapons and basic medicine, or handing in bounty vouchers. The top 50% contributors, duty counter paint job for the Federal gunship. The top 25% of contributors, duty counter paint job for the Federal corvette as well as the Federal gunship. The campaign began today, the 6th of June, and will run for 1 week. To earn rewards, you must sign up as an active participant before delivering non-lethal weapons, reactive armour and basic medicines, or handing in bounty vouchers to the Kamina station in the Lushertha system. And that's it for this week's City News.
Flossy told you what to do.
Now, it's sort of traditional, obviously, when we have extra stuff for our guests and co-presenters to do, that every now and again I put somebody on the spot. So while you were talking there, Flossy, I noted a very important question. And I thought, what am I going to do about this very important question? Who am I going to ask? And I thought, well, maybe I might be able to ask Vulkarius, as the font of much knowledge in the Elite Dangerous Galaxy, to answer a very important question. Yeah, Vulkarius, are you armed and ready for this important question?
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, Flossy, we love the fact that we've got CGs back. And they're not, necessarily related to the Thargoid stuff, because we know there are people out there, who don't do that kind of stuff. They want to do the other things, the trucking or the bounty hunting and whatever else. And we noticed it said, Jerome Archer requests assistance delivering supplies to Decamina Station. Vulkarius, who the blazes is Jerome Archer?
Well, he's certainly not an Imperial citizen, so as far as I'm concerned, a filthy peasant.
Well, yeah. Well, not just.
I don't know what his place is. I don't know what his place is to order anyone around.
Well, he's a lackey. It turns out a lackey of former President Hudson, appointed in March 3307, apparently.
The Federation and their silly games.
I know. Previously a congressman and the Secretary of Security in Hudson's cabinet. Why Hudson kept him in a cabinet, we've got no idea.
I don't know. That's really why would they do? Why would they put people in cabinets like this? This is why we can't live together. Like we don't.
So Jerome Archer is an ornament. There we go. Yes. So I'm just trying to sort of find out any more about this individual Jerome Arthur. Apparently he led to the arrest of extremist groups such as Jupiter's Wrath. I have no idea. It sounds like internal federal politics to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, his predecessor Brad Mitchell was assassinated in the NMLA bombing of Li Qingjiao Station in the Sol System. There we go. So it is vaguely connected to the NMLA, if you remember who they were.
Yeah, they're the Neo-Marlinist Liberation.
Them, yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yes, but I mean, it sounds to me a bit of a power grab by exiting President Hudson before he exits and hands back to is it Winters? I think it's Winters, isn't it?
Yeah, Felicia Winters should be. Well, yeah. There's apparently won some. I don't know what this election thing they like doing is, but whatever that is, apparently she won it. So.
She won it, but then her planet blew up, and then she had to go and sort of sweep up the pieces and help her people. And nothing's been heard of her since, which is a bit suspicious. And Hudson seems to be still in charge of the Federation, which is double suspicious. You wouldn't find anything like that happening in the Empire, would you?
Things which are suspicious?
Suspicious
or
assassinations and shenanigans,
Yeah, no, it's very dishonourable to do anything like that. So even when you've got ostensibly a political rival, you take just Parisa, for example, with, I think they're just called Nova Parisa now. They were.
No, you assassinate them honourably. What you don't do is do skullduggery, yes.
They were, we even as a bit of an outcast, and even if you're related to the imperial family, you don't disrespect the people. Parisa still gets to live how the Parisans want to. So there's still
in togas and having
there's no loss of inherent respect, even if people want to live differently on a different world. So
if you hadn't gathered, Vulkarius is one of those imperial types.
The bit, I suppose, the even bigger incompatibility than Nova Parisa is the Marlinists themselves, not the NMLA, but the actual separatists who have their own systems.
This is why we need more CGs, because it brings relevance to all these stories. Even if this one is all about the bit Flossy didn't mention, by the way, Flossy. Is this Decamina Station in the Lucertha system? Yeah, that one. Who owns it?
Yes, Defence Fleet.
Would that be the stinky, week-old rugby socks EDF, Earth Defence Fleet?
Yeah.
Yes. So but hey, look, it doesn't affect Hutton in any way, and we're good neighbours, so we can go and help them out, or do what we need to do. It doesn't have any impact on Hutton stuff. So it is a Hutton approved CG because it's a CG and they're back. Though you will be helping out the stinky EDF and their stinky smell. Yeah. But look, thank you, Flossy. It's so good to have the CGs back and the extra long, super long sing along.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of the extra long, super long sing-along,
yes.
Little Grey has just posted in the Twitch channel a great idea for DaveCon, a Flossy song karaoke.
Well, funny you should say that. Because I may or may not have put somebody to task in the last couple of days with a mission, not just with that one, but with the Country and Western Hutton theme tune song that we broadcast a couple of weeks back and last week, to do bouncy ball karaoke versions of them.
Okay, and we're going to do that at ECM?
We certainly might.
Oh, nice. And speaking of ECM, if anyone is ticketless, the ticket sales are live at the website that is currently scrolling across your screens on the bulletin.
EliteCommunityMeet.info.
That's the one.
I suppose we forgot that in the bantery bit. So ECM, the hotel has now sold out. Dom has completely collapsed. We've got rid of every single room in the hotel. That doesn't mean the event is sold out. We've still got about 20 spaces left before we have to say, nope, that's it, you can't come. But the hotel itself is completely full. There is not even a spare broom cupboard or cabinet, Vulkarius, to put people called Jerome in, unless we get cancellation. So we're up to sort of room shares or going down to the Frameshift Lodge just round the corner if you want to stay, or like one commander who's bringing their van and sleeping in it because they want to stay up late with us. So, yes, they have a camper van. We'll be sleeping in it. Don't tell the hotel. Shh.
You've just broadcast it.
No, don't tell the hotel. They don't listen to this. Maybe Dom is.
How do you know? They might listen.
They might do. We did send Dom that picture from last week as well. He does. Dom does like his picture from last week, by the way. Turns out he's a bit of a gamer himself, and he'd quite like to pop along to the event.
Nice.
We've got. But other than that, we had a long discussion earlier about beer. And
that's a good thing to discuss.
Yeah, I had to explain to the lovely Carla, who is our event manager, what APA is and why it is just not good enough. And she said, well, what sort of things are good? I don't drink ale. I said, oh, you're going down in my estimation here. So I gave her a list of suitable drinks. And she's gone off to go and see if somebody can get a couple of barrels. No, she originally said a barrel, and I had that discussion about 288 pints that we had the other day, and that won't last Friday. And so she's gone to investigate what their suppliers can supply us that's not APA. We're also trying to hunt a 6 metre by 6 metre space for something cool, really, really cool. But I need to find a 6 metre by 6 metre space to put it in. It's big.
Yeah, that's quite a bit.
Yes.
That's big. Like, yeah, there's nowhere. There'll be so many tables in the main hall. You'll never get it in there.
Well, we're investigating putting something next to the Artemis room.
I was going to say you need a room. Yeah,
it needs walls, and it needs walls around the edge, and it's 6 meters by 6 meters. And I'm desperately trying to find a space we can put it in. And we also have confirmation there is not a wedding during the event this time. There is a 50th birthday barbecue by another party in the other half of the hotel as well. So yes, no weddings this year, so we don't have to be quiet. They're going to be as noisy as us. They're barbecuing in one half, we're barbecuing the other. Our barbecue's better than their barbecue. No.
No.
Just an anniversary. Just an anniversary, no weddings.
Yeah, so it's an anniversary, no weddings. Maybe it's the anniversary of the wedding from No, it isn't. I was going to say from 2018. They're still together. Yay. Right. Amelia.
Yes.
Would you like to introduce the next bit? Because it's another return. It's another resurrection.
Introducing the return of the Galnet News Digest. Yay. This is where you press the button.
Galnet News Update, 6th of June, 3310. Federal Security Supremo Jerome Archer has called on commanders to help wipe out piracy in the Lashertha system, and he's rewarding those who help the most with paint jobs for the gunship and corvettes. Archer confirmed he is remaining in his post as Vice President to Zachary Hudson, while the Republican Party waits for President-elect Winters to finish her impromptu humanitarian secondment to the RIAS system. The Liberal Party has been out of power for so long that a few more months doesn't seem to matter. Archer praised President Hudson's sterling efforts in single-handedly fighting off the Thargoids, but explained that while Super Prez is off dealing with the aliens, human pirates have taken advantage of his absence to attack Dekamina Station. He called for commanders to show the pirates who's in charge by taking obscenely huge amounts of basic medicines, reactive armour and non-lethal weapons to the besieged station. As an afterthought, he suggested that bounty hunting in the system might help as well. The top 50% of participants in both the supply and combat initiatives will be awarded free access to use the bizarrely named duty counter paint job for the federal gunship. Those in the top 25% will also get the same paint job for the federal corvette. It's just as well the Republicans remain in charge of the Federation. There's no way bleeding heart liberal Felicia Winters would be able to see off a pirate attack like Archer has by asking someone else to do it. She's far better off playing Florence Nightingale and leaving combat to the boys.
Ooh, well, you talk about raining on. Well, they're trying to rain on Flossy's parade. It's good, but it's not Flossy good. Is all I'll say. It's actually more info is always good. And thanks very much to Beetlejude and Wotherspoon for giving us their take on what's going on with strange people from the Federation. Vulkarius.
It's nice hearing them again.
It is. So let's push this button here to get rid of that off the screen. Oh my goodness, it's all gone wrong. There we go, it's off screen now. Vulkarius, would you like to introduce Amelia for us with her bit?
If I can find... Wait.
There's nothing written in the screen, just sort of make it up off the cuff.
You know? Improv.
Improv.
Oh, right. Well, now that Amelia Hawke's here and actually has a Galnet Rares Digest this time, following very shortly will be Amelia Hawke with the Galnet Rares Digest this time.
You are about to listen to Amelia Hawke. She tries all the galaxy's most dangerous rare items, so you don't have to.
This week, a rare you can't buy. A rare so rare that if it was a steak, it would still be walking around and going moo. The luminescent lichen of Lambda Andromedae 5. That's what the locals call the planet. It's classed as a water world, but it's in the forests near the shores of the small islands dotted about the planet that this wonder grows. While bioluminescent organisms aren't that rare throughout the galaxy, they can be found growing and glowing all over the place, this bioluminescent lichen is special. It's edible, non-toxic bioluminescent lichen. You can lick it, you can cook with it, you can break some off and just munch on it when you're a bit peckish. And by all accounts, it's really tasty. Cloaked in perpetual twilight, the coastal areas of the very small islands near the poles of the planet have a unique mineral-rich soil. The lichen has developed the glowing and its flavour as a form of propagation. Passing creatures can't help but snack on it as they pass. And as they pass the lichen through their digestive tract, leaving little glowing deposits which spread from glowing carpets for the next creature to snack upon. And before you ask, no. We don't just pick up big glowing lumps of animal excrement and scoff them. That would be disgusting. We wait for it to spread about a little and grow. Oh, and we wash it. Thoroughly. I promise. I wouldn't be that mean to Steve. Landing on the water world, the sound of distant waves adjusting the topography of this little island ever so slowly. The air is clear and crisp. The light is dim. Mooncake's wearing a little collar with a light on it just in case she wanders off. And a tracker. And a little bell. Steve looks a little more relaxed than last week. I mean, we've checked with the local scientists. No man-eating natural predators here. No poisonous plants. Nothing bitey. No volcanoes. No earthquakes. Meteor strikes are practically zero. After a few hours of trekking around this coastline, I can see a faint bluish glow spreading across a stone just at the edge of my vision. It's like a living tapestry. The lichen forms geometric patterns, not smooth random curves and whorls, but straight lines and geometric shapes. And little wafers of lichen stand up from the rock, looking like sort of glowing blue space Pringles. Steve, over here. Look, I found some. Just watch out for that oh, bother, he's tripped. Well, you might have heard that was his jetpack going off. He's somewhere over the trees. It's okay, I'll get you later. Just wait there. But before that, time to try the lichen. I'm just putting it in my pocket Galnet Rare sanitizer for a second. It feels very odd putting something in my mouth that's glowing like that. Oh, it is tasty. Very tasty. Sort of like, reminds me of something. Vanilla, quite crunchy, but definitely a vanilla flavor. I know you're up a tree, Steve. Just wait there. Turn your torch on so Mooncake can find you. I'm going to take a sample to bring back to the ship. I'll be right with you. Right. That's better. We're back at the ship. Mooncake's been rolling around in some of the lichen. I mean, I hope it's just lichen. And she's a bit confused why her tail is glowing like that. Steve, well, he's okay. Just wasn't ready to achieve flight at quite that moment. As for me, I've discovered something interesting. My tongue is glowing. In fact, looking in the mirror, my teeth are glowing, and, well, I think my eyes are glowing too. This is Amelia Hawke reporting with a rather bluey purple haze for the Galnet Rares Digest. I've just eaten some rather delicious glowing lichen, and I'm wondering, did I read something earlier about what happens after it passed through my digestion? I'm off to the bathroom to find out, so you don't have to. Suppose it means I won't have to turn on the lights. Do not go in there.
That looks really uncomfortable. The look on your face. Oh my goodness! And the glowing.
Yes, the glowing.
I mean, it's a bit like when you put a torch behind your hand when you were a kid, and you could shine light through your hand.
Yes,
it's just happening to a different bit of you. That's all. Like your middle.
So the midriff area, and it kind of flows upwards as well. That's why you see it around the neck as well.
That's definitely not
chest.
cubicle 3 behind you. That's way too clean. Whoever you've got on cleaning, is that Steve keeps it that clean?
Steve does his best.
Yeah, no, that's.
I suppose floor mopping guy in the name. It's not really in his remit to mop anything other than the floor.
Yes.
Well, despite Despite rumours, floor mopping guy and Steve are actually different people.
Really? One of them's
Apparently.
heroic and the other one quivers in a corner every time you take him out of your spaceship. I mean, I don't know where you hire. I mean, he's one of these NPC pilots, isn't he? You know, you went to a station and randomly went, "I'll have that one, please."
I think that's the highest compliment you could give him.
What?
NPC.
NP Steve.
NP Steve.
Yes, but I mean, they do charge quite a bit for their services. These pilots and people you can put on your ship, and normally you leave them locked in the hold, don't you, down the bottom? I think Flossy, whenever we've taken one with us, he just stays down in the hold somewhere and hollow me's out to ships joining us, doesn't he?
Well, we got Steve at a discount.
Oh right, you started him at the 1% level, and then you leveled him up, did you? To mostly terrified most of the time. Is that
mostly
a rank?
terrified?
Mostly terrified. Maybe when we get on foot Thargoid combat Vulkarius, there'll be new ranks, one of which will be mostly terrified and, oh my god, it's a facehugger, get off. Yeah. Yeah, actually, talking about that, there's a new Alien movie coming out soon, isn't there? Romulus, between Alien 1 and Alien 2, yes.
It looks like it's going back to its roots in being a horror.
Yeah, as opposed to that thing with the other creatures and
Prometheus
and things,
which was kind of the deviation from Aliens entirely, I feel.
Yeah, old school Aliens.
Yes, the good stuff.
Yeah, and Jonesy the Cat. I mean, the trailer comes out the week after we mentioned Jonesy the Cat. Is that a coincidence? Don't know.
Mooncake came so close to being called Jonesy. If she ended up being a male, she would have been Jonesy.
And ginger.
Well, she is. She's a bit ginger.
Well, in the right light, when she's swallowed some strange glowing lichen, possibly. Yes. Anyway, that's it for the end of the show. So as is absolutely traditional, we're going to go and raid somebody in a second. So the usual process for the end of the show is Amelia either whispers or shouts or whatever for the mug. Some credits
will be a whisper
play
this week
with a tune. I think we're still going country and western version of the tune simply because I love it. The credits play. There are some recipes in there, some useful life advice, all sorts of things. And then at the end of that bit, when you hear us tell you all to bugger off, don't bugger off, hang around because we're going to go and raid somebody. Do we know who is currently streaming some spaceship shenanigans and who we might go and raid? Do we have
Leah _GT. She has the caption "Lost in space ... help!" ! All in capitals.
Leah _ GT. Let's go and have a look. Oh, yeah,
LEAH.
Leah GT definitely needs some help. Lost in space. Right, so it is out of courtesy. When we do go and raid Leah GT, give them a big for the mug from us. Remember to be friendly. You're representatives of Hutton when you're out there.
PWP.
And if dead meets mean, somebody lock him back in LHS 340.
Or give him a slap.
Yeah, we could do that.
If you're close enough.
Or a pan. Flossy, you got the pan handy somewhere?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right, well, that's it for us for this week. We will be uploading the show to the usual GalTube channel. Don't forget to go and look there and do the follow thing, because then you get a link to when we've uploaded it, especially for our first-time chatter earlier, the Evident Knight, who did turn up, unfortunately having missed the meaty bit of the show, but just in time for the Galnet Rares Digest. It's time to say thank you very much to Commander Vulkarius for all of your useful information about beating up Thargoids.
Oh, well, you're very welcome.
And to Flossy for the resurrection of the CGs. It was all you.
Oh, wow.
100%. It was all you. You put the pressure on them and they brought them back.
I'd like to think so, but no.
Thank you very much to the still glowing around the middle Amelia.
Absolutely my pleasure.
Yep. And we do hope the Apology Officer and Lithobreaker will be back next week. Lithobreaker's on a remote reporting mission at the moment, and hopefully has some news when he gets back. The Apology Officer we don't know, but we're hoping that they're looking after the Apology Officer well and not mistreating them in any way. We'll be very cross if they do. Are you whispering this week, Amelia?
I am. I've got a mooncake snuggled in my arms right now. So.
Oh, right, okay. So you're going to whisper the thing, and then we're going to do the end of the show.
Yes.
Okay.
So everyone, for the mug.
For the mug. Don't wake up mooncake.
For the mug.
Well, I fired up my sidewinder, feeling mighty bold. Heard tales of anacondas worth their weight in gold. Said I'll head to Hutton Orbital and make my fortune grand. But little did I know, it weren't quite as I planned. Oh, I flew to Hutton Orbital in my little ship so tight, through the void of space on that long dark night. But when I arrived, what did I see? Just a little old mug staring back at me. They said, come to Hutton, son, and get your big reward. An anaconda ship, you'll be the envy of the board. But as I landed gently, my dreams began to fade. For all I got was a mug and the memories we made. Oh, I flew to Hutton Orbital in my little ship so tight, through the void of space on that long dark night. But when I arrived, what did I see? Just a little old mug staring back at me. Now I ain't one for complaining about the way things go, but I sure thought I'd strike it rich at that Hutton show. So I'll raise my mug up high and I'll toast to the sky, for the mug will cry as the stars roll by. Oh, I flew to Hutton Orbital in my little ship so tight, through the void of space on that long dark night. But when I arrived, what did I see? Just a little old mug staring back at me. So here's to all you pilots, dreaming big and bold. Just remember, at Hutton, your fortune might not unfold. But take it in your stride and enjoy the ride, for the mug will shout with country pride. For the mug.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's the end of the show. Everyone's buggered off now, so why don't you bugger off too?